we are living in a non-committal, high transient, man.
Yeah.
We, post-COVID, the most valuable commodity is time.
Yep.
People don't want to give that up. That's just where we live. So, we're going to have to kind of be okay with some people taking a lot longer to get in, more so than we would want them to. But we think Kids Week is a great way in the summer to see that happen, even programmatically. I think some people have moved away from thinking about this because it doesn't fit not just growth, but the way they think growth is supposed to happen. Okay. And we failed to mention this. I'm wearing my Kids Week shirt right now. We're literally sitting, yes, like they are here on the campus
Right now.
Right now. So we've snuck away, and this stuff is incredibly fresh. 10 Commandments on Kids Week. What could be better than saying, hey, these are the 10 Commandments of the most important week of the summer.
Yeah.
If you want to grow and go. All right, so here we go.
This is Breaking Barriers, where we help pastors and churches grow so that they can go.
All right, hey guys, welcome to the Breaking Barriers podcast. My name is Pastor Andrew Hopper, and I'm here today with our age-based ministry guru, Brant Gordon. Brant, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. Glad to be here.
And we are going to talk about how Kids Week is the most important week of the summer, period. As my kids say, clock it. All right.
Clock it.
We know there are very important weeks. I think student camp is a huge week. I think mission trips are huge in the life of a believer. So don't hear me say anything about how other things are not important. Although I would say, I think for momentum, for evangelism, for reconnecting families that have been kind of disconnected, there is no more important week during the whole summer than Kids Week. And man, we've been riding that philosophy for 13 years. I think it's right, man. What do you say?
Yeah, man, I think the unique thing about Kids Week as compared to camp or mission trips or different things is even as we push it to the church, everybody could do something.
Yep.
And I think that's the uniqueness where, you have camp is a very specific age group. Mission trips are I got to give a whole week. But man, the whole church is okay, you can invite. You can give a day of your work, or go in late or something like that. You know families. And so I think the uniqueness of that alongside of a camp-like atmosphere and the spiritual kind of awakening that comes from that, I think it's just powerful, man.
Yeah, and I think, just think about the three things that converge. There's probably 10 things that converge, but think about the three things that converge just right on the face of it. Number one, we understand that in our network of churches, historically, most people come to faith before the age of 18.
Yeah.
It's just a fact.
Yeah, statistically.
It just is. I understand. We love the idea of evangelizing the 35-year-old businessman and seeing him come to Christ, and we have great stories about that, and that's awesome. But most people come to Christ as kids or teenagers.
Yeah.
So you have that. Then you have the convergence of not only that, but what you said, which is so good. Everybody has a role.
Yeah.
Everybody has something they can do. From security team to parking to actually teaching to leading crafts there's something for all of us to do. So our people get to grow in their relationship with Christ because they're serving. We talk about that a lot here. That serving is not just them being a cog in the wheel of the big machine. It's good for them.
Yep.
Your kids probably aren't old enough to serve yet, maybe. Or
my oldest is just getting in. He's in fourth grade, so he's got an opportunity to help in some ways.
Yeah, so that's this year is my first year having three serving. And man, it's just great. I don't know, at their age and everything, I have no idea if the church really needs them to serve, right? It may even, my older daughter, obviously.
Hattie Jo's helpful.
Yeah, but the boys are young enough where, and AP too, but my younger son, he's only in fourth grade too, or going into fifth. It's is that even harder for the church to have kids like that jumping in? Probably, but we do it for them.
Yep.
So it's three things. It's evangelism, it's our people getting a chance to serve, and then the big thing is, just like every other big day, it's connecting new families in what we're doing here. And when we say new, Pastor Bobby and I talk about this a lot, we don't demonize the unconnected.
Yeah.
You know, people that are just kind of part of the crowd. I think a lot of churches like want to just
move on.
Yeah, and it's like, hey, dude, most people are part of the crowd before they're part of the family.
100%.
And so if somebody's coming around and they come to Kids Week, and then maybe next year they come to Kids Week, and then maybe next year they go to Christmas and Kids Week, like, yes, we would love for them to jump all the way into the flywheel today.
Yeah.
And we call them to that. But not everybody's going to do that. Some people go check out the campus before they decide if they're going to go to the school. And that happens with church stuff too. So we see it as a huge opportunity, especially in the summer, man. I mean, how many families are moving in this time of year? Why do you think it is that some churches, especially in the church planning world, just don't take this opportunity?
Yeah.
You know, they don't build it in to the big 4 or 5 things that they do.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes it's a little bit of a head scratcher for me.
I think some of it is a mindset thing, and some of the, you know, we talk about this all the time on the podcast, just growth mindset, and just how we think about discipleship and evangelism, how those things work together and partner together. I think sometimes, you know, you can end up getting into a mindset as a church planner. Well, I just need to focus on, you know, these few people and disciple them, and once we disciple them, and you know, that's a you know, it's a great thing to do. But if that's the only focus, you've missed all those people on the fringe who, like, you know, Jesus preached to the crowds. And I think we've got to have that opportunity of, hey, there's an opportunity to get a great crowd here that you don't know. I mean, I was looking at some of our stats. Last year, 62 families didn't attend any church that came to Mercy Hill Kids Week. This year, 112 families didn't attend any church that came to Mercy Hills Kids Week. And so you've got to know, like, by doing something big like that, it feels like it's a big event. There's nothing wrong with that, because you've got all of these momentum and all these families that are now checking it out, that how many of those kids would have never got to hear the gospel because those families would have never come in maybe to something else. It's a great, and you use the great example of, like, man, it may be that this is a 2 or 3 year kind of thing.
Right.
Where it's like they may come to Kids Week 2 or 3 years before they ever come to a service.
Yeah.
And we're okay with that, because we know we're just casting the net. And over time, God's going to do that work in their hearts through the power of His Word.
Yeah, I mean, I think we wish it was different.
Totally.
Right? Like, I mean, I don't think we're okay with it in the sense of, like, but we can't change that. You know, it's like, man, Larry Osborne always says like this. He's like, man, in Babylon, you can get mad at everybody for being in Babylon, or you can try to do ministry in Babylon.
That's right.
You know, and so, like, we are living in a non-committal, high transient, man. We, you know, post-COVID, the most valuable commodity is time.
Yep.
People don't want to give that up. You know, that's just where we live. So, you know, we're going to have to kind of be okay with some people taking a lot longer to get in, more so than we would want them to. But we think Kids Week is a great way in the summer to see that happen, even programmatically. I think some people have moved away from thinking about this because it doesn't fit not just growth, but the way they think growth is supposed to happen. So we've talked about this a lot, but, you know, it's like, because it's not one-on-one evangelism over coffee, and because it's programmatic, and because it's big, people just kind of, some in our culture, you know, sort of just want to poo-poo that and push away from it. And, man, that's fine, except for the fact that 99% of the people that we see in the book of Acts come to Christ in a crowd with a preacher. Yeah. And so that doesn't take away from the Philippian jailer. It doesn't take away from the Ethiopian eunuch, but that's not the norm. Yeah. The norm is lots of people with a preacher, somebody teaching the word, and people, you know, God does something in the room, and that's what's happening at Kids Week. We want to give you guys 10 commandments of Kids Week. Okay. And we failed to mention this. I'm wearing my Kids Week shirt right now. We're literally sitting. Yes, like they are here on the campus
right now.
Right now. So we've snuck away, and this stuff is incredibly fresh. 10 commandments on Kids Week. Man, you know, what could be better than saying, hey, these are the 10 commandments of the most important week of the summer. Yeah. If you want to grow and go. All right. So here we go. Number 1, thou shalt use Kids Week to manufacture momentum. Momentum, Brant, is one of those words that can be a little icky because it's almost like, well, do you mean momentum as in that thing that only the Spirit can bring? And we actually don't mean that. What we mean is there are ways that we can, through our pragmatic efforts, package things and create stickiness with things that give it legs. Yeah. And y'all, Kids Week is one of the greatest ways to put our vision back in front of our people and give them a chance to buy in, which creates, it creates movement. It creates forward march. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think of it as like in some ways, a steroid shot for your church. And we think about this in terms of big days throughout the year. We've got Easter, we've got Kids Week, we've got our fall launch for families, and then we have Christmas. And both of those, I mean, all four of those opportunities are opportunities for us to get people engaged in the mission, put it right in front of everybody with a very tangible, hey, here's what we're all doing, and a high call to it.
Yeah.
And I think that resonates with our people, and it takes people that are kind of fringe into, hey, I'm going to jump in and serve. I'm going to be a part of this. I think it also, for the sake of the people who have been here for a long time, for years and years, when they're able to every quarter, basically, there's this opportunity where it's like, hey, we're seeing an incredible, huge movement of something, and we all have an opportunity to jump in together with it.
Yeah.
I think even seeing those families around the church that have for years been a part of this, I think it's just a great galvanizing moment.
That's right, man.
Of we're on mission together. And man, you mentioned your kids even like serving, and it's like you've gone from your kids being kids in Kids Week to now your kids serving in Kids Week.
Right.
And I see that from parents all over the church now as we've gotten established over the years, where the gratitude and excitement they have now of their students are serving kids when they're the they used to be the kids.
Right.
And I think there's just a culminating momentum that happens in that if we focus on
and I mean, we're getting to the point now, because we've been at it for so long, where I mean, some of our City Project students that are college came through and served, and came through even as kids. Like I remember I was at Northeast Campus today.
Yeah.
And one of the City Project college students that was serving at the Northeast Campus today, I remember when she was a kid coming back at Regional one of those first years, 10 or 12 years ago. And so now, it's just that pushing that flywheel, over and year after year. And I love what you mentioned, because momentum is built, strategically. I mean, that, like you just mentioned, I don't want it to just kind of fly by here. You said quarterly, because that's really true. Now we have more big days than quarters.
Yeah.
But if you just think about it, it's like, dude, it's Easter, it's Kids Week, it's back to school, it's Christmas, right? Yep. And so, those are all hands on deck moments, and this is one, and we have a chance to manufacture momentum through it. Now, what we're not saying is that we can manipulate the Spirit.
100%.
God's going to do what He's going to do. We're going to talk about this later. We're going to prepare the jars and try. But when God is moving, we have the opportunity to capture that, package it, give people an opportunity to celebrate, to see the baptisms that come out of it, to create a high challenge environment, to give people sort of a longevity thing of the year after year after year. There's so much momentum that can be had and harvested. Yeah. Manufactured even, or it can just happen to your church and you move on. Mm-hmm. You can do Kids Week and it just kind of, whatever. We didn't hype it very much. It happened. It's over. Nobody even knew it happened. Yeah. And we're just saying, hey, from a strategic point of view, it can be used to be a high point of the summer, especially when things many times are kind of lulling. Yeah. Our and your age base, I mean, I think we generally look at the summer a little more for leadership development. Yeah. Right? I mean, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, we have City Project going on. We have Summer Project. We have, all of these students from high school up to college that we're really pouring into on really a lot more of our go area and them living life on mission. But we don't want to ever also create like a dichotomy in that of like go is attached to gathering and attached to those big days. So I think it's both and.
Even with smaller church, like I grew up in a very small, at that time, rural church. 150 people was a big day. That kind of idea. We were the same way. Like, man, we had a couple interns in the summer. That would come from the Baptist College of Florida or wherever, and like it was a downtime. It was a little bit of a lull. It was about leadership. Hey, we went on mission trips. It's like, dude, you're not taking 100 people to that. Yeah. You're taking 20, but those are going to be leaders. That's a big spiritual investment. So for us, generally, we think about the summer as being a little bit of a down leadership development, high discipleship. But this is that moment in the summer that is sort of that peak gathering moment where we don't just settle into this discipleship, leadership kind of thing. It's more of a momentum thing for the whole church. And so I think, and student camp's that way too, a little bit. It is. But so it's not the only thing. All right. Number 2, thou shalt not fret when you have to start small. Man, I really love the book Wealthy Gardener.
Okay.
It's a finance book, and the whole book tries very hard to get you to understand that the seeds of prosperity are planted in the soil of passing days. Meaning that, we walk outside and we want the tree, but we didn't want the process of planting it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And because we fret about the fact that, man, I can plant a seed tomorrow, but it don't turn into a tree for 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
We just don't ever plant. Well, instead, what we do is we walk outside, we see the tree, and we fret about it.
Yep.
And I just think it's a very important, this is challenging what I'm going to say, and this might be one of those things where people, a little bit of a hit dog will holler, people might get a little mad, but it's like, hey, if this hits you the wrong way, it might be because you need it to.
Yeah.
If people want to fret about our Vacation Bible School is never going to have 400 kids, or we're never going to have 1,000 kids, or what, these other churches, they do it so big, what are we going to, I've heard this so many times.
Yeah.
Man, there's a big church in our town. They do it so big. We're not, we can never compete with that, or like it's a competition, right?
Yeah.
We're never gonna. And it's just kind of like, hey, man, you're a victim. Victim mentality. Man, I want to become an overnight success without realizing that most overnight successes, it took them about 10 or 12 years to get there, 15 years.
Yeah.
15 years of doing the right thing every summer when it's small.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're an overnight success.
Yeah.
And man, people just fret and they want to sit and be a victim. And because we can't have 100 kids the first time we ever do it, we're just not going to do it at all.
Yeah.
And I just really push against that. And I'm like, dude, you reap what you sow. If you're not going to sow year after year after year, then what kind of entitlement does it take to think we should have 500 kids coming to our kids week? So that's a little bit biting, but I think it is. You got to, hey, don't fret about it. You got to start.
Well, I think too, if you don't believe it, you're never going to see it either.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like your mindset, if your mindset going into it is, oh, we'll never, whatever. Well, you never will.
Right.
So it's like, are you going to believe God for more? Kind of Ephesians 3:20 in that. You get past some of the limited mindset in that. And then I think too, it's like, and I haven't read the book, but I'm sure it kind of brings up the principle of compounding interest. And it's like passing days, compounding interest is doing the right thing, the best thing that you can do over and over again, and allowing that to build over time. It's the same way with, we've done Kids Week years and years and years when it was tiny, all the way to, hey, we've got 100 people, we got a few hundred people, we got, and doing the same, trying to do the best next thing and it the best we can with what we've got, and trusting that God's going to do something awesome in it. And I think rather than the comparison thing, it's like, God, we're going to pray big, we're going to plan big, believe big, and then you're going to send us, and we're just going to keep doing that.
Okay, cards on the table. Mercy Hills Kids Week this year is going to have 1,200 kids. Okay,
somewhere around there.
There are churches that have 12,000 kids in our country.
It's all perspective.
Okay, there are other churches that are going to have 120. There are other churches that are going to have 20.
Yep.
The question is, are you going to do the best this year in anticipation of what God could do next year, the year after that, and the year after that? Or are you going to look at the church that has 1,000 kids and throw your hands up and say, well, we could never be, whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, our first summer here at Mercy Hill when we planted, we had 18 kids do a Kids Week.
Yep.
We didn't have a building, so we had to move it all over. It was terrible. We had to go to the Greensboro Science Center. Our big party was a pool party at somebody's house.
Yeah.
That was our big thing. I led the music. I was doing the teaching. Anna was doing the crafts. There were 18 kids. 2 of them were ours.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a huge success.
Yeah.
But and then, man, the next year, I think the next year after that or 2 years after that, my dad came up here from Florida.
Yeah.
And we strapped a Garth Brooks Countryman microphone to him. And there was probably 60 kids. And I was like, dude, we tripled.
Did y'all do any Garth Brooks songs?
No, we didn't do any Garth. He does have he has a really good rewrite.
Okay.
Of Friends in Low Places. It's called Friends in High Places.
Oh, wow. Well,
where the Bible binds and the blood replaces. Okay, so
I love that. I want to hear a rendition.
Anyway, the blood washes my blues away. Not alcohol and whiskey and all that. Okay. Anyway, we're getting off the topic here, Brant. Okay, the point is that you can't just sit in that idea of, well, it's not this, so I'm never gonna. We just, we talk about that a lot. It's if then versus because now. It's like, well, if we were big, we would do this, and it's like, no, it's like, man, because we did, now we are.
Yeah.
And so we got to always remember that.
Well, sometimes people they'll look into this. If God's moving, then we will. And it's like, well, or should you begin moving and praying that God will move in a greater way?
Absolutely. All right, number 3. Thou shalt not assume people can't serve because it's during the day or because of this or because they got to work or because very big principle here, don't ever say no for somebody else.
Yep.
Instead, create a high challenge environment.
Yep.
High challenge environments don't reveal leaders, they create them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that you see the one that wants to do it. It's that the challenge itself begins to work on people where they want to rise,
Yep.
Up to that challenge. And so, for us at Kids Week, we just want to cast a massive vision that goes something like this, guys. There's going to be hundreds and hundreds of kids here. Some of them, probably by your numbers of the 100-something families, maybe upwards of 10% of all the kids that come.
Yeah.
This might be the only gospel witness they get all year long.
Yep.
We talk about sending people over to Southeast Asia and all this. Man, we got unreached people that are right here, and we can invest in them this very week.
Yep.
Man, dads, you want your kids that are there to see you jumping around, dancing, having fun because you're a Christ follower.
That's right.
I don't care if you can only serve a day, a whole week, whatever. I always say, people are like, are you telling me to take some of my vacation to serve in Kids Week? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only get 2 weeks a year. Great. This is one of them.
Yeah.
The other one's a mission trip. No, but in all seriousness, it's like, hey, we really try to push people hard to say, in both ways. Man, take off time to serve, but then also we tell people, don't go on vacation this week.
Yeah.
Hey, you got all summer. Don't go this week.
Yeah.
This is too big of a deal for the entire family. So I think we try really hard to create that high challenge environment. We've had great stories of people that jumped in, served.
Yeah. I think of, I was thinking about the story that I saw the other day, just sharing from one of our ADs. And it was this lady last year who served. She said that she stepped out for the first time, jumped in. It led her to end up going on a trip to Thailand with Mercy Hill. It led her to serving kids. It led her and her husband to consider adoption.
Wow.
So you think about just hey, I'm going to serve. But I think what you said earlier is we end up saying no for people.
Right.
And if we have that mind, again, so much of this stuff is mindset, man. If we have that mindset going in of I'm going to bother people, I'm going to inconvenience people.
Right.
It's like we're doomed at the start. There's no way,
right.
Because you've got to have the ability. We've got to believe in our bones that this is so good for the people that are serving.
Yep.
That we are willing to challenge them without any hesitation, without any you can't do this, or you probably won't be able to make it, but we've got to just ask them boldly, and if they say no, they say no.
Yeah.
But we have an incredible ask for them to be part of, and we got to be willing to say it. I think so much of this too. I think it comes from the platform a lot of times too. We don't want to fully rely on the platform by any means. That's laziness in leadership. If the leaders around the church are just relying on the platform to push everything through. But I do think that when the lead pastor or the preaching team gets up and they cast the vision for this and the challenge for this, I think it creates a weight and galvanizes the church. And you've done an incredible job with this over the years.
Thank you, Brant.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm just here to encourage,
brother.
build you up, man. But I think that matters. I think if the lead pastor, that leadership team, if they see this as a big deal and they're willing to challenge the church to it, the church will follow suit on that, and it's going to make a huge impact. Even Father's Day, I preached Father's Day this week, and it was first thing, hey, we have incredible fathers here at the church. We don't give in to the things that this world says. We live differently. We want to invest in the kingdom. Right into challenge. Hey, this week we've got Kids Week.
Right.
Dads, you need to be there. Husbands, leaders, you need to be there.
Yeah, we want to cast a big enough vision that people move their vacation for it. And the only way to do that is if we honestly in our bones believe that we're not secretly trying to manipulate people to come and do our thing.
Yep.
If they're a cog in the wheel, you cannot talk about this in a way that's authentic. It's the same way with generosity, because it is a generosity thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about generosity as time, talent, and treasure. So, if we're talking about getting people to give their time and talent, if I believe secretly in the back part of my mind and heart that these people are a cog in my wheel to get our numbers up, I'm not going to be able to sell. I'm not going to be able to sell the vision in the same way as if I honestly believe it.
Yep.
I think I've said this before, but I really was affected by this quote by Booker T. Washington. Like, nothing is as convincing as someone who believes what they're telling you from the top of their hat to the bottom of their shoes. And that's really true. Like, if I really believe, man, your kids, every family at Mercy Hill being involved in this is going to be good for you.
Yeah.
Not just good for the church, but you.
Yep.
I'm going to talk about it in a different way, and I'm not going to assume somebody can't. I'm not going to feel bad asking them.
That's right.
Instead, I'm going to be bold
Yeah.
and create that high challenge environment.